I'm curious, is your advocacy for Black veterans an extension of your military service? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess just rewinding a bit to tell folks a little bit about my journey. I served as a combat medic for 7 years. 4 of those were in the active duty Army, where I served in Afghanistan, and then transitioned into the New York State National Guard. After I got out of the military, I had a really difficult transition, one that I didn't anticipate, and really struggled with my mental health for a confluence of reasons. And I didn't get the care that I felt that I deserved from VA. Unfortunately, that led to a feeling of isolation, a year of just unraveling, really. Not an experience that's unique to me. I think a lot of vets go through that. And I found myself on the other side of a suicide attempt. And when I, had to get locked away essentially for about 2 weeks in recovery, I had nothing else to do but read. And there was a book that I'd had on my shelf since I was in graduate school, but I hadn't cracked open. And it was called When Affirmative Action Was White. And it's by Ira Katz-Nelson, academic out of Columbia. And it looked at the history of social welfare policies immediately preceding World War II, to include the GI Bill and New Deal. And it showed kind of how the white middle class was bolstered and built by access to a host of different federal policies, and largely how Black folk were locked out of those benefits. There were 2 chapters that were explicitly dedicated to the GI Bill. And though I'd heard about benefit obstruction around the GI Bill, it made it really salient. And following that, a lot of my frustration coming out of all the things that were affecting me before I had my suicide attempt were certainly still festering after I got out of the psych ward. And so there was a lot of anger. And I realized that so much of my experience rendered me feeling very powerless. And in engaging with community, I started to understand that I was part of a larger experience that preceded me, that was cross-generational, and that I felt really spiritually called. Even when I was in the psych ward, I remember praying, I think for the first time since I was in Afghanistan, really, seeking a sense of purpose and direction and where to place my talents and my gifts. And this work kind of was birthed from that, an attempt to try to take my power back, but also do something that I felt could be of utility to the community that I was a part of. And at first, when the idea about the project came to me, the name came real natural. Right. But I called it a project because I wanted to make sure that I was doing something substantive. And what that would be at first wasn't very clear. I knew that there was a story to tell there, and I'd always looked at myself like deep down as a storyteller. But the path for this work was really illuminated by following instinct. Sometimes I call it like chasing the rabbit. There was just this deep knowing inside of me that there was something useful that I could do. And I wasn't waiting for guidance about necessarily how to do it. I was just following that calling. And so in building community with some other veterans, we started this work, and it just really evolved over the course of the last 5 years.